Hello and welcome to Accident Cars. My name is Elvin and today I'm gonna tell you all about 2020 Acura RDX, and together we're gonna review this car to learn what this car is about, who is it for, whether it checks all the check boxes for the luxury, comfort, sport and handling, and how does it compare to the competition.
This is war with the enemy. Think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me. I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mental.
If you're in the market for Japanese midsize SUV, chances are you are looking at Lexus or Acura. And which one you choose will depend on what you value in the car. If you prefer soft ride, premium materials, comfortable handling, then you will choose Lexus. But if you want premium Japanese SUV that also is exciting to drive, then chances are you're looking at Acura. Which one I would buy? Honestly, none of those, because neither Lexus nor Acura is for me. I would actually look at cars such as Volkswagen Tiguan. I know it's German and it will not be anywhere near as reliable as Lexus or Acura. Or if you only consider Japanese midsize SUVs, I would consider Mazda CX-50. Let's walk around at first. I'm gonna show you briefly around the exterior, and then we're gonna jump inside, review the interior, and then we're gonna take it out on the road and talk about driving impressions and handling. This particular model is 2020 base model, but don't tune out just yet. Don't assume, oh, I'm gonna go and watch some A-spec videos, because by the end of the video, I assure you, you will know that the base model is actually one of the best trims to choose in my mind. Why? Stay on and I'll tell you why. There are some nice exterior changes that they have made that makes the car look much cleaner, much slicker, and much sporty in my mind. For example, the grille is different. I love the screen. I like this like diamond-shaped plastic bits. I think the Acura logo is way too large. I don't know, maybe they had to make it this big because of the radar is too large. Maybe this is for the looks, but to me, could have been a little smaller. So LED headlights come standard regardless of which trim you choose. Acura actually, as a brand, takes pride in their LED headlight technology. They're very bright, crisp at night for the driver. I gotta say, I don't like the way they're adjusted because they dazzle the oncoming traffic a little. Each time I get dazzled, I know it's either Acura or Lexus. So the German cars do a much better job with that. There are minor differences in the way A-spec and the base look, but to me, the jump in the price is so much that it's really hard to justify going up to the A-spec. I think in the A-spec, if we talk about the fascia, the front bumper and the rear bumper is a little different. It's blacked out, so your chrome bits are gonna be blacked out. But other than that, you get a lot of nice options in the base model. It has all sorts of kind of like safety features such as lane keep assist, collision warning. Don't assume that this plastic is not functional. It actually is. There's an opening here, you can see, and the air can pass through it. Some say it's for cooling the brakes. I'm not sure if it's for the cooling the brake or just aerodynamics, maybe both, but nonetheless, that's cool to have it. So I love the way the front of this car looks. I like the side profile, very nice. A lot of stamping both on the door, and I also forgot to mention a lot of good like fancy stampings on the hood. It makes the car look really premium, and all the stampings are hard to manufacture, so you know Acura actually spent money developing it. I like this chrome bit over here. There's a little bit of plastic, black plastic on the skirts, even on the lower part of the bumpers, just to make it a little more rugged, because people who buy Acura are likely gonna take it off-road, you know, some like skiing or kayaking or camping, and the owner is actually one of those people. So it's definitely gonna prevent the skirts from getting scratched. These are not the best looking rims. I think they fit this car really well, but A-spec and Tech Pack have better rims. I assume if you buy these rims or replica rims yourself, it's gonna be much cheaper than upgrading to an A-spec or Tech package. Speaking of the rear, I think the rear end of this car looks good too. To me, in the exterior of this car, the rear end is my least favorite. I like the front, I like the side profile. Like, this is all subjective, but I think the rear end, the look of the rear end is spoiled by this big white kind of like glass in the taillights. When there's this much white transparent glass in the taillight, making it look like headlight, I never liked that. I like the way MDX is, for example. It's almost red, and thus the rear end looks so much better. In the A-spec model, you will have larger exhaust tips, but that's just for the looks, really. None of these trims sound different. and none of them sound great because they all get the same engine. We're gonna talk about the engine in a bit. So let's talk a little bit about practicality and utility. You can see that the trunk lid actually opens rather quickly, which I like a lot. And there's a button to close it. However, there is not a button to close and lock it. After you close it, to lock it, you have to push on an additional button on the door itself. And there's a different button next to the unlock button. I don't know, that's just an interesting implementation, I guess, because most cars just put two buttons next to each other for locking and closing and locking. Being Acura and being a brand that stands out to people leading active lifestyles, I think cargo space matters, and Acura gives you plenty of it. It has one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cargo spaces in its segment. It's really easy to fold the rear seats, just pull on the two levers on each side and they will go down on their own. Underneath this floor, there are additional storage compartments, which is great. You have your toolbox and additional storage compartments, and they're rather deep. It does have a spare tire, which is unheard of nowadays. It's just over here. I think that's really clever, that's really smart that they give you more compartment here and place the spare tire under. Let's open the hood and talk about the engine and transmission a little bit before we go on the road and start driving it. It's a premium brand, so there are hood struts. That's great. I like how the way Acura has covered up the space. Unlike in like Lexus or Toyota products where you get to see a lot of hoses going over the engine, on the side of the engine, just like visually, this is a better engine bay to look at. You get 2-liter inline 4, the same engine in all the trim models. That's what I'm saying. It's hard for me to justify the price difference of the tech package and A trim. To me, like if you ask me to pay like 10K more over the base price, you gotta give me like more performance differences. Same engine, same transmission on all trims. Inline 4 producing about like 275-ish, I think. I forgot exact numbers. Horsepower and under 300 pound-feet of torque. I'm very skeptical about the 10-speed transmission, but we'll see how it behaves when we drive it. In terms of reliability and common issues, being a Honda product, you should not expect a lot of problems with the engine or anything. However, the owner of this particular car had to take the car back to dealer for a few things. He had a squeaky like control arm or something, so he had to take it back to dealer for that. His moonroof or panoramic sunroof wasn't like perfectly aligned, also was making thumping noises, I think he said. So he had to take it back to dealer for that, I think 1 or 2 times. So minor things here and there are present. However, you should not expect like major catastrophic problems. If your car is just like this car is certified pre-owned, make sure you pay attention to those things and take it to the dealer to get them fixed before warranty runs out. Some say that this engine is the same engine, detuned, but the same engine as in the Type R. Let me know if that's true and whether there are in like TCU or ECU tunes available for these cars to make it even more sporty. Let's talk a little bit about other negatives. I think the owner said to me that the biggest complaint of his is just overall build quality. Now I have to specify we are being really picky, but there are things you can pick on and things that you don't want to see in a premium brand. For example, I already mentioned the panoramic roof problems. There are also some kind of like alignment issues on the trim. So let me close this. If you look really closely, you can see that the headlights on both sides are not perfectly aligned and the gaps are different. If you look even closer, you will see that the rear bumper as well as the front bumper kind of like not aligned perfectly to the body of the car. The gaps between the tailgate and the rest of the body on the left and right differ a little bit. Inside, the owner says that he gets some like rattles or some squeaks over the bumps. The chrome bit on the side on the doors, and that's kind of like bubbling up a little bit. Again, we are being super picky, but it's a premium brand. We expect it to be perfect. Let me know if you are experiencing similar issues or whether those issues are isolated to this car. The owner says he read about these cars a lot on the forums, and the issue seems to be just across the model and the year. Keyless entry, keyless start, all of that is standard. I love that the doors open really wide, almost 90 degrees. That's cool. There's a lot of good use of premium materials. In general, I gotta say I'm a little biased in a negative way. I don't like like Acura or Honda design philosophy, like interior design philosophy specifically, as much. I think like Lexus does a better job. They look much nicer inside. However, I'm pleasantly surprised, pleased by the interior of this particular Acura. There's plenty of like good materials. There's chrome, aluminum. I'm gonna review all of that. The speakers in the base model, I think you get like 10 or 12 speakers. 12 speakers in the A spec, and then technology pack you get 16, and it's like kind of like higher end audio. But even this one, according to the owner at least, sounds really good. It smells good because Acura uses real leather, no like recycled crap in here. So it's real leather and they're really soft. There's plenty of space for your rear passengers. You know, like the owner is a tall guy, so I fit behind him just well. I will fit behind myself, no problem, even better. There's this little indentations kind of like on the back of the seats for your knees, and there's plenty of space for your feet to go under the front seat. So that's all really cool. I don't necessarily like the fact that the back of the seats is plastic. If you scratch this, it's gonna be really hard to polish it off, but it's a hard plastic too. In the base model, unfortunately, you don't get, there isn't anything to do in the rear seat. You can't control your temperature or AC. There is not even a charging like USB ports. For that, you would have to go up the trim, which is very strange considering how many niceties you get in the base trim, and then you don't get charging ports for rear passengers. That's really strange. But you have panoramic sunroof. It's larger than in some of the German brands like Audi's. The sitting angle for the rear passengers is awesome. However, unfortunately, you cannot control the angle. I don't know why. Even in CR-V, you can control like how much you want to recline the back of the rear seat. That's not an option in Acura. Go figure. Let's go for a drive, and I'm gonna talk more about the interior and handling and driving impressions. So what are the first things that you interact with the first when you get into the car? It's the steering wheel, it's the seats, and the instrument cluster. Those three things is what helps you to develop your first opinion about the car. I think Acura did a fantastic job with the steering wheel. I really like this like 3-spoke design. It looks very similar to the steering wheel in the NSX. The leather feels really premium, really nice in your hands. The diameter is great, the thickness is great. They could have made it the leather perforated to make it look even sexier, or maybe like have some chrome or like aluminum inserts or whatever.
And A-Spec.
Oh, okay. So the owner says that the A-Spec actually has some of that. The buttons are very pleasant to touch. Everything is like very high quality, like not any worse than German brands. So that's really cool. The paddle shifters, you have paddle shifters, but they're a little on the smaller side and a little bit plasticky feeling. Even like I would say like rubbery feeling. The instrument cluster, I really love that it's analog. Some people say, oh, I wish they were like just digital. I disagree. I think analog is much better. However, the central screen could have been a little better looking, I guess. I mean, it's okay. It's not as bad as like in the outgoing model. The seats are very comfortable to sit on. They're soft, plush. It's somewhat flat. It doesn't have those like bolsters. I think like for a sporty car, they could have made them a little more bolstered. So maybe the higher trim versions may have like expandable cushion. Let me know if that's the case. The base model doesn't have it. Overall, Acura, Honda interior philosophy is not for me. I don't like this kind of like stacked, like layered approach. I'm glad they got rid of like 2-screen thing going on nowadays. It's just one screen, so that's good. Even in the base model, you are getting like 11.5 inches diagonal screen. So there is not need to upgrade to a higher trim to get that. That is cool. What I really don't like is the design of the AC vents. I know you can kind of like turn them away from you, but honestly, regardless of how much you turn them away, I don't know if the owner will agree with me. I think there will be some air blowing in your face. They just should have been like on top here, just like in most cars. There's a little bit of a piano black, but mostly in the places that you are not gonna touch too frequently. Right now, I'm not seeing too many fingerprints, so that's good. The drive mode selector button, look just like how big it is. I guess like Acura wants to underline that, you know, this is the cornerstone. This is the central part of the driving experience, the dynamic modes, and you can turn between sport, sport plus, comfort, snow, and this knob here is actually like nicely weighted. It has like nice weight to it. It's really pleasant to touch and turn it. So you can't kind of like go around. Once you reach the bottom, you have to like turn it backwards. You can't kind of like keep spinning to kind of like cycle through the menu. Maybe that's actually, I think, good. Like, you know that you can just like, you know, turn it like 3 times to the right and you'll be in the Sport Plus. So you don't even have to like look at the screen. I really love this like central kind of like a sliding cover for the central compartment. There's actually a big compartment down below for additional things, and you have the power outlet, USB over there. It has this kind of like touchpad, which very different than the Lexus touchpad, because Lexus touchpad, everybody knows, just sucks. This one kind of like where you touch it controls where on the screen you select it. The owner says it's easy to get used to it. The Acura says the reason they didn't make a touchscreen is because touchscreen is distracting. You take your eyes off the road. I'm not sure. In my mind, maybe like it's easier to look at the screen while seeing the road with your peripheral vision than looking all the way down at this touchpad. Nonetheless, so you have this kind of like side scrolling thing. The owner says he hates it because it's not functional. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay come standard. So that is good, although it's just a wired. It's not wireless, but I'm grateful for it. In later years, or maybe in Tech Pack, you can have it like wireless. And so what the owner doesn't like, for example, he's saying you can't have it like be your map here and then like maybe like scroll through your music on the right section or something. So this area over here is pretty much useless. From the driver's seat, it's very comfortable ride. It does a perfect job like smoothing out all the like little patches or potholes on the road. So this road over here in front of us is like horrible, potholes and everything. At least here on the driver's seat, I feel none of it. So somehow Acura managed to tune this suspension to be both comfortable, but also make the car stay flat around the turns. Maybe they have like super stiff sway bars or something. Like, you're not gonna get chauffeured around in this car, but maybe like you're ordering it as an Uber or something, or I don't know, maybe you care about your wife who sits on the back seat with your kids, or yeah. So we'll see how comfortable the rear seats are. So I think the rear seat, you know, is definitely not as comfortable as the front seat. You know, going over the patches and stuff, you do feel those in your spine, I guess, a little bit. You know, you get like shaked around a little bit. The rear is a little shaky. I like that there are buttons for AC controls, although some of these buttons are like, you know, on the larger side. I don't know why they need to be this big. Maybe it's so that you can like, it's easier to push on them with the gloves on, but some of these buttons to me could have been a little smaller. They are really pleasant to touch, and they have good kind of like tactile feeling to them when you click on them. So you get heated steering wheel, heated seats in the base, but no cooled seats. For that, you would have to go up the trim. Let's listen to the horn. That sounds good. It's premium noise, premium sound. It has like lane keep assist, and the owner says that the car does a good job keeping the car nice and centered. It has adaptive cruise. It has like forward collision warning. I don't know if it actually brakes for you. Does it brake? It does?
It does.
Okay, awesome. So, you know, like all those like standard features come standard. So that's what I said in the beginning of the video, that base gives you so many nice options that it's really hard to justify going up the trim just for a couple of extra tech or like stylistic changes. There are some blanks in the buttons. Not really sure what those blanks are for. Let me know if you know in the comments. There's a brake hold feature, which is really convenient. I'm gonna be quiet. Let's see how quiet this cabin is. I'm gonna put it in drive mode. At 40 miles an hour, it's about like 68 or 70 decibels in the cabin. Not the quietest cabin. Maybe Lexus actually would be a little quieter. So we are in comfort. I'm gonna put it in sport. And right away, I can actually like feel that the steering wheel got noticeably heavier. Let's drive it a bit spiritedly. Yeah, let's also put the drive mode in Sport Plus. The steering, I think, got even heavier, more responsive. There's a little bit of fake engine sound pumped into the cabin through the speakers. I guess like it's a good thing to have a little bit, because the exhaust outside doesn't make much noises, so at least you get some of it inside. Sport Plus, it holds onto the gear for much longer. it's not that common to see 2-liter inline-4 engine spinning up all the way to almost like 7,000 RPMs. Let's put it in the manual first gear and just hit on the gas. Very responsive, and I wasn't even in Sport Plus, I was in Comfort. Yeah, just going around this tight turn, it does a superb job, just stays flat. I can feel kind of like the rear end kind of like turning in. SH all-wheel drive, which stands for super handling. I like there are like little icons that pop up to show you kind of like which wheels the torque is going to. Acura has this like torque vectoring thing, and they have like this like really like fancy differential. In Sport Plus, the car is like really engaging to drive. So down into the fourth. It's gonna upshift when you hit the rev limiter. It's not gonna jump off of the rev limiter, but for most people, that's a good thing. This car is definitely, like, hands down, much more engaging and much faster than the Lexus. Okay, I'm not sure about much faster, but much more engaging. The transmission, I wouldn't say is the fastest. There's a little bit of a delay between when you hit the paddle shifter and when it actually shifts. I think it's just a little bit of delay between your input and computer translating your input into the shift, because the shifts themselves seem to be crisp and fast. Normally, Honda does a great job tuning the brake pedal feeling. You know, they usually have like great initial bite, and also they're really easy to modulate. In this particular car, however, I don't like the brake pedal feeling. There's too much travel, too much kind of like dead zone before you feel that initial brake bite. One of the missing features in the base model is the blind spot assist. You would have to upgrade to the technology package to get that. In the beginning of this video, I said that I would actually like consider Mazda 650 if you were in the market for Japanese premium sporty SUV. I take my words back. This is definitely much more sporty than the Mazda, and definitely sportier than that RX in front of us. Like I said, your choices between Lexus and RDX will depend on what you value. If you want to have an engaging car, let's say you have kids, you need a bigger car, but then when you drop them off, you don't want to suffer, you want to drive spiritedly, then RDX is the option. I knew this car would be a little sporty, but I didn't expect this level of sportiness. I hope this video was informative for you guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to see future episodes. Thank you and have a great day.